Let's say your fully loaded customer acquisition cost is $17,500. You calculated that in the last video. Total sales and marketing spend divided by new customers. But here's the number that nobody calculates. Cost per sales conversion. If your team books 20 calls a month and your monthly sales and marketing allocation to sales is $10,000, your cost per book call is $500. Now, what's your no-show rate? If half of those 20 calls don't show, you're only having 10 conversations, but you still have paid for 20. Your real cost per productive sales conversation just doubled from $500 to $1,000. That's the multiplier. Every no-show doesn't just waste 30 minutes of your sales rep's time. It inflates the cost of every conversation that doesn't happen. At 20% no-shows, our target, you're paying a 25% premium. Manageable. At 40%, you're paying 67% more per conversion. At 50%, you've doubled it. Same ad spend, same marketing budget, same team, but every sale costs you twice what it should. Pull up your last month's numbers. How many calls were booked? How many actually happened? That ratio is silently inflating every acquisition number downstream. That's the cost. But the no-show rate itself isn't the problem. It's a symptom. And what it's telling you about your funnel is more important than the number. A high no-show rate feels like a scheduling problem. It's not. It's a qualification and commitment problem. When someone books a call and doesn't show up, one of three things happen. They weren't qualified in the first place. They booked out of curiosity, no intent. The gap between booking and the call was too long. They forgot, lost urgency, or found someone else. Or your confirmation process didn't create enough commitment to follow through. Each one of those has a different fix, and they often stack. A business with 40% no-shows usually has all three happening simultaneously. Here's the diagnostic question. Are unqualified people getting through to your calendar? If your SQL rate is below 60%, your no-show problem likely starts upstream. Unqualified leads don't show because they were never serious. You don't fix that with reminders. You fix it with better qualification before the booking. The target is under 20%. Concerning is above 30. If you're above 30, this isn't a tweak. It's a structural issue in your funnel. Now you know the cost and you know the cause. The fixes are faster and cheaper than almost anything else in sales and marketing, and they compound with everything you've already built. These aren't complex. They don't require new software or new hires. Most businesses can implement all three inside of 30 days. Fix one is really straightforward. Confirmation sequence. Email confirmation immediately after booking, SMS reminder 24 hours before, call or SMS 1 hour before. Each touch point isn't just a reminder, it's a micro commitment. Every time the prospect engages with a confirmation, the probability they show up increases. Recently, I saw something from Alex Hormozi. He basically said you should be calling these people within 5 minutes and trying to flip them immediately into a sales call. And that increased the amount of people that he was closing exponentially. So that is also a really good way to be able to do it that we can test throughout time. Different companies have different ways of doing it, but being able to shorten that window is very, very well. And that leads into fix 2, shorten the booking window. If your next available slot is 10 days out, well, urgency dies. The prospect who was excited when they booked has moved on by the time the call arrives. Book for 2 to 3 days out, maximum if possible. 72 hours. The closer the call is to the moment of interest, the higher the show rate. Fix 3 is pre-qualification. Add 3 to 5 qualifying questions before the prospect sees your calendar. Revenue range, team size, the specific problem they're trying to solve. This does two things. It filters out people who aren't a fit, and it increases the commitment from the people who are. Filling out a form creates investment, and invested prospects show up. Now, at the very beginning of a funnel where you're doing ads and those types of things, you want to keep the friction as low as possible. When the calendars start to stack and you start having a show up problem, we can then start adding more friction into the funnel so that by the time they get to someone, they are fully invested over time. So just keep that in mind at the very beginning. Keep the friction as low as possible. Over time, make it more complex until your show rate hits where it's supposed to be. Those are the levers. Individually, they help. Together, they can cut your no-show rate by more than half. And here's why this matters more than almost any other fix in your sales and marketing budget. What would it cost to double the number of sales conversations your team has every month? You could double your ad spend. You could hire another sales rep. You could launch a new channel. fractional, all expensive, all take months to show results. Or you could fix your no-show rate. One company we worked with had a 45% no-show rate. They implemented all 3 fixes: SMS confirmation sequence, shortened their booking window from 2 to 3 days, added a pre-qualification form, but also had their SDRs trying to get people committed early. No-show rate dropped by 18% in 60 days. Same ad spend, same sales team, but the number of conversations that actually happened nearly doubled. That's not a marginal improvement. That's the equivalent of doubling your marketing budget for the cost of an SMS automation tool and a form on your website. This is why no-show rate is often the first thing we check in the sales and marketing diagnostic. Not the channel efficiency, not the ad creative, not the sales scripts, no-shows. Because fixing this one number has a cascading effect on every acquisition metric downstream. CAC, payback period, close rate per dollar spent, all of it. If your no-show rate is above 20%, this is where you start. Before you optimize a single ad, before you test a new channel, before you hire. You now know the real cost of no-shows, not just the wasted time, but the multiplier on every dollar you spend to acquire a customer. You know what a high no-show rate is telling you about your funnel, and you have 3 fixes you can implement this month. But here's the question founders always ask next: should I cut marketing spend? And when does cutting actually make everything worse? That's next. If you want us to run this diagnostic on your actual numbers, links in the description. We only take 15 people a month and we do this for free. What's your no-show rate? Drop it in the comments.